Welcome to Off Market, a look at the Perth property market from the people who are working in the trenches. Join me, Shane Beaumont, Ross Hunter, and a special guest each fortnight as we dissect the latest property news and break down what's really happening in the different pockets of Perth. If you'd rather watch, you can find us on our Facebook page at Crib Creative Perth. Enjoy. Ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
Never nervous.
Test, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2, testing. Roscoe, give us a test.
Ready to go live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, guys, we are back with our first post-COVID off-market episode. Shane, Roscoe, I'm very happy to see you.
We're pretty happy to be back.
I've missed you guys.
Missed everyone behind the scenes, the crew.
Well, it's going to be a lot longer.
Well, yeah, we've done all right.
ScoMo stood up.
Well done,
6
ScoMo.
months of this.
Yeah, we're here.
8 weeks.
Done.
So,
we nailed it.
avid watchers of the show will notice we are not in our usual location. We're unable to go back to our usual location at the moment, but we're doing something a little bit different. And the guys at Grandwood by Zorzi have loaned us for the afternoon this incredible property. They're Dalkeith residents to use for filming. So before we go on with the show, I just want to take you on a little tour around this beautiful property. This incredible architecturally designed Grandwood by Zorzi home is made for entertaining. The kitchen is beautifully finished and the generous living and dining flow out to the large alfresco area. Upstairs are the private living quarters and my personal favourite room of the house, the stunning master suite. From the impeccable contemporary facade, there is a real sense of space throughout this home. Coupled with the craftsmanship and quality finish that you can expect from any Zorzi build, this is a home that is well worth a visit. Roscoe, I know you like to make yourself comfortable around these. I don't want to find you in the fridge later.
Well,
stay out.
yeah.
Stay out of the fridge.
Very close.
Well, you're near it, Jess. What's going on?
The prime position. All right, guys. Now, normally our first segment of the show is Under the Hammer.
Yeah.
We're not going to run with that one this week, unfortunately. Sorry, Roscoe. But there's just probably not a lot of auction activity happening.
I find that extremely negative and disappointing, Jess, that
I know.
you would even talk about auctions in such a vein.
What I want you to do instead for me is give me a bit of an update on how you're going. I guess we're a couple of months into the pandemic.
Yeah.
And Roscoe, maybe if you can kick us off as a business owner, how have things changed for you? How are people recovering? Are you back in the office? What's going on?
Yeah, no, I think really well. I think the big challenge out of the whole thing, Jess, is as we went into COVID, everybody, we didn't know what we're going into. Obviously, it was a bit of an unknown void for the planet, really. So as we went through it, obviously we realised we obviously dodged a bit of a bullet over here in WA. But one of the things is everybody spoke that language, we're going to change, we're learning a lot from this and so forth. I think the real test is now is who is changing and who is going to embrace what they said and come out the other side. Now, we know probably 95% of people will default back to what they've always done. That's just the reality.
It's already well, from our point of view, I mean, for example, Matterports that everyone jumped on, and already it's, no one's doing them anymore. As just a very small example of going back to
exactly.
business
But
as
I
usual.
think the big test is beyond those sort of mechanics, Jess. I think it's about how people choose to work and live life and be more productive. Because the number one thing that everybody spoke about, Shane, you would certainly hear this and experience yourself. People go, oh my God, I've been time poor for 30 years. I finally got time. Now, it's now how do we embrace that and actually make it part of our business? And I actually believe it's becoming more productive. And like, for example, in our business, we've really embraced the whole thing of the teams type thing and people working from home because they're also set up well. And we're finding the productivity's increased. Certainly those that are working mums are really loving the opportunity to be working from home and it takes a lot of load off them. They can pop a load of wash on, they can get dinner ready, they can do those core tasks that normally they're forced into doing when they get home from work. So they're actually a lot less stressed, they're efficient, and it's just the culture is improved.
So are you going to allow, is that going to remain?
Yeah, we've already enshrined it. That's how it is.
Very nice.
Yeah.
What about you, Shane? How are you finding things?
It's been really busy. When it first came out, we didn't know what was going to happen. But what I've found for myself, and I think I mentioned this when we did our Zoom off-market episode, normally about 9 appointments to an offer. And during that COVID situation, it got down to 3 appointments per offer. But what I really liked, in an area that we're not getting many people through home opens, we were able to get back to how we were taught as real estate agents, just to qualify the lead. I think so many agents are so busy running around with buyers, but things, just simple things that we had to do because of the processes put in place were, have you driven past the property? Have you seen other homes in the area? Why didn't you go ahead with that one? You're almost qualifying it. So, natural fact, you know if that buyer is going to do something because you've asked the right questions. You're not getting there and going, I'm not sure about the neighbour and this sort of thing. So controlling that process, I think has also helped your sellers, because you'll be able to, I guess, have the 4 o'clock, a 4:15 and a 4:30, and then prove that social proof that you're not the only idiot out there as a buyer seeing value. You're seeing there's competition, and we got some great results through that process, rather than just the typical home open, sign out the front every Saturday and Sunday. So I really enjoyed it because a lot of our sales do come from by appointment. But as an agent, it's quite easy to think you're really busy, being unproductive, running around doing these things.
Yeah.
But to go back and control that process was really good.
Yeah.
And I think video and these sorts of things that forced a lot of the older agents to embrace, they probably should have been doing that a few years ago because they're catch up now.
Yeah.
It's the new norm.
Yeah.
Where you put that video is the next step, and how you understand the dynamics and the data. When we couldn't have home opens, again, I've had to look at the data for the last few years, and I can ascertain where we sit in the marketplace. I was in a great position to tell my owners, this is where you sit, even though I had no one through the home opens that week.
Yeah.
So you've got to adapt, and if you can implement those things, much like most training, if you just hear all these things but don't implement any of it, well, you're going to come out worse again.
I think the point you make, Shane, around just sort of the private inspections and so forth, which we had to do. I think one of the things that's come out of that is your ability to actually really offer a great service to that particular buyer. Because one of the things that I've always been frustrated with, like with the typical home open scenario, you open the door, people wander around, you never actually get a chance to demonstrate the home.
No.
To really show them the little nuances of a property that can really make the difference. And I think in those private inspection type environment, you've really got a chance to get quite granular in how you've worked with a client, and I think it's a great thing.
And I think that's when you look at a lot of the training that I think WA agents have been quite frustrated, because a lot of the training coming out of Sydney and Melbourne, it's been such a hot market. They talk about this is how we do it, and it's almost like lambs to the slaughter coming through a home open.
It's very, very different.
It's just so detached from what we actually experience every day. I'm sure when you go to Damian, your conferences, it's just like, well, this is bizarro world, because it's nothing like what we've been through.
It's felt like the last few years we've been living in a different planet, hasn't it? Their market to ours. But I'm feeling pretty optimistic about this year. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah. I think, and I've said this before, if you actually took a snapshot of the market right now, if we didn't have the lag of that negative equity from a few years back, it's a really healthy market. The stock level, the amount of buyers, it's really fair. It's just, we've just got to get out of that pain that we've had, I guess, from a few years ago that we're carrying over. But I think listings at a really healthy level.
Yeah,
Excellent.
No, it bodes well for the future.
I like that, boys. I like that we've kept it positive after a couple of months of, we like a bit of positivity on this show.
Could not have been another show.
Beautiful. All right, we're straight into our next segment, the Real Press. Now, this week we've got something a little bit different. It's something that I guess we couldn't not talk about because the whole industry is talking about it. And I am, of course, talking about real estate. He was the golden boy, I guess you could say, Daniel Gonzalez, who's been in the press the last couple of weeks after being charged with stealing pointer signs from other agents. So I think, Ross, you mentioned there was about 80 stolen. So it's not an insignificant number. I don't want to talk about that situation. I think he's due to go to court the day after we will air this program, so we're not going to kind of discuss that too much, but more from a broader point of view for the industry, I guess, and how that reflects on the industry, and whether or not you guys think, there was a lot of talk about it, but we're so insular, I guess. Do the general public care?
It's interesting, and I said this to Ross when it sort of first came out, and we're looking what we had to speak about, and it was the elephant in the room, he could not address it, but the amount of, if you look at, I guess, as a community, the amount of good things agents are doing, the old perception of the slick salesman, it's just changed completely. The agents and agencies are so immersed in the community. And at a guess, I think if you look at the positive things, just injection to sporting clubs, community groups, it'd be in the millions the amount of money. I know what I spend in the community. I think it never gets spoken about the good things, much like an AFL football, if he gets done for pissy driving on the way home. They don't say that week he was at a canteen camp or dealing with cancer kids. It's always the negative. So to see a lot of the great work undone by agents, I guess, in the community, that's never going to get the same press as a negative. And let's face it, a lot of people don't like real estate agents. We are working hard with REIWA to try and change that perception. So it's sort of a bit of a step back. It's frustrating. I think only agents really care about the sign side of it, because I think it's pretty unethical in that regard. But it's more a step back as far as trying to create a different perception of what we are seen as.
I guess the counterpoint to that is that, whether you talk about the football player or the real estate agent, or when they're pumping money into different things or volunteering their time, general public might go, yeah, but that's in your own best interest. Or the football player's doing that because they have to do that as part of their contract. So
it's interesting, and that's another perception. They don't. Like players,
they definitely
don't. They have to make X amount
don't.
of payment, but the amount of things they do over and above, and the agents, like, I think the years of sort of giving out prizes and what have you just for the sake of it. But I do think if you can be seen in the community actually caring about the community as opposed to standing up giving the big certificate, a lot of the amount of donations that happen are anonymous. Like, it's not like they have to be the major sponsor, but whether it be the quiz night or what have you, these things are always happening. Schools, huge
But it's one of those things where people will go, real estate agents, wouldn't trust them, but then they go, I know Shane Beaumont, he's a great bloke.
Yeah.
Well, so it's getting that personal relationship.
That's where it's disappointing with something like this to happen, because they didn't, that's what's been harped on about, And I guess there's this small thing in people's mind that as an owner you might think, well, was my sales campaign jeopardised because I didn't have my pointer signs out? I personally think they're like litter. I don't like them because I see them out for appraisals now. I think they should be up. Oh, cute that. I think they should be up and put down for home opens. That's just my personal opinion. But as I say, there wasn't so much talking about the signs. It was just the act of something unethical that didn't help.
Yeah.
Shane, just on your comment there, we know that real estate agents in the public's eye, if you ask, what do you think of real estate agents and things like what happened, don't help. But it's 40%, I think, people think agents generally are good. But when REIWA has actually surveyed the public, where your experience with your agent, 90% would use them again. So the one-on-one, exactly what you said, Jess. The one-on-one, people go, Shane's a good bloke, Ross is a good bloke, they're good operators. But real estate agents are bad. It's unfortunate that a few things in the industry have brought us down over time. But by and large, most people are very happy with their real estate agent.
Yeah.
And the thing around it is these type of things, they're not necessary. And to me, the greatest issue that sits around it, which Shane's alluded to, it's about trust. The number one thing in any relationship, personal or professional, is all about trust. And the minute you don't have trust, you have nothing, in my opinion. And REIWA, the agents, we all work really, really hard to demonstrate not just trust, but authentic trust, not fake trust. True, authentic trust. Now, whether that's driven through, genuine sponsorships of sporting clubs and so on. A lot of those sporting clubs, they're financially really challenged, and the real estate industry at large, we really do a massive amount throughout the community. And that builds authentic trust. It's not fake. And so forth and so on. When we buy and sell property, we're dealing with people's livelihoods. This is not just a transaction of bricks and mortar. This is their life. This is someone's lived in a home for 30, 40 years. This is their memories. This is their legacy that lives beyond them. And when something like this happens, what bothers me, all those things that we really stand for and I believe honour, very quickly get mocked. And I'm just sad that these things happen because there's no need. And I just really hope everybody learns from this. And I hope Daniel learns from it and everybody grows and gets bigger and better and just the industry becomes a better place.
Well, there's enough feed out there for, like, it was quite ironic. I had a memory from last year. There's lots of pointer signs where I live. One blew over, I put it up and I said, good luck for your day. Home opens. There's enough feed out there for everyone. I don't think it needs to get to a point where we have to go that way.
No, it doesn't.
So, but
anyway,
we're going to leave it there. Thank you for your thoughts. Now, the gentleman on the couch is our next guest. We've heard from him already, but we would like to welcome you up, Mr. Damian Collins. Damian is the founder and the managing director of Momentum Wealth, which is a property consultancy here in Perth. But more importantly, and the reason that you're up here today is you've served on the REIWA Council since 2011, and in 2018, Damian was elected as the REIWA President.
I got the short straw.
You got the short
You got
straw.
the good times, mate. The good
I
times
know, the
are on.
COVID times, I know.
Now, Shane
You've
specifically...
been like a wartime.
You're the Churchill of
Wartime
REIWA.
president.
That's
The
a big,
Roosevelt.
that's a big
Say
call,
that.
Ross. That's a
Yeah,
big
the
call.
Roosevelt, the Churchill. Or we will find them on the beaches, mate.
Shane actually specifically requested that we have you on because he was so impressed with how you've dealt with everything and pushed through the last couple of months. So, pleasure to have you on.
Thanks,
I think
Jess.
just on that, there's only two blokes that spend more time behind the mic, and that's McGowan and Basil Zemplis at the moment. So, it's
So
good to
you're in
have you
good
here.
company.
We have, I mean, look, it's been a lot going on, and we've tried to keep our members informed and keep the public informed, and try and, there's a lot of doomsday sayers out there, and I was saying, well, look, there's downside risk, there was, but I just, don't see it going down significantly, and sure enough, I think those doomsayers are going to be well and truly wrong. I'm feeling really optimistic about where the Perth's going to go.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So normally this kind of segment where we have a guest, we do a hood highlight and we focus really tightly on one specific suburb. Obviously that's not what we've got you here for today, but we would like, I guess, your insight, a little bit more insight into how the industry's kind of handled the last few months.
Yeah.
And where we're going, I guess. So I guess my first question would be, what are some of the main concerns that your members highlighted over the last couple of months?
Well, certainly early on, the legislation that was going to come in was our real concern, and particularly around rental properties. There was fear in some of the European countries. They actually just said rent free, so you don't have to pay rent for 2 months. Now, we have all got rent rolls. No income equals no money, and that would have put a lot of agencies out of business. So there was a lot of fear around that. So we were very quick on the phone and to the politicians about, about what to do and what not to do. Certainly in commercial, similar sort of problems where the tenants were going to be able to... Some of the original proposals, tenants could just walk out on their commercial leases. Again, that scared commercial... Some of them spent hundreds of thousands on a fit-out and tenant could just walk away. So the legislation was not great, but it got through, and it's tolerable for this period. So we're able to formulate that and work through with the... So that laid a lot of concerns with our members. Obviously, other concerns were around how bad the market would be. And I think if you asked anyone on the 1st of March, what would life be like on the 31st of March, I don't think anyone would have realised how quickly it escalated. But then from the 31st of March to the 30th of April, I don't think we would have realised how quickly it de-escalated. We're going from, oh God, this is going to... Transactions at 280 a week in Perth, from 700... We're all going to have 9 months of hardly anything happening. Bang, it went down, and bang, it went up. And last week we had 636 sales. We're not far off where we were in January, February. And you mentioned before the low stock levels. So I think there's I had a lot of phone calls in the first few weeks, a lot of messages. I haven't had any message from members in the last 3 weeks. So I think that means they're feeling more relaxed about.
Beautiful.
Feeling a bit more relaxed about. And I think me as a business owner as well, you look at it and I've got 65 staff and I'm going, well, what's going to happen here? And I think as a business, we're feeling more relaxed as well.
Excellent,
I
excellent.
thought it was going to be... I bought a fishing rod thinking I'd get to go fishing.
Still
I sold more homes and caught fish. So it wasn't that.
You can buy a bigger fishing rod now.
So, when it first happened, it was... I guess everything was just... People were just spinning, going, well, hang on, what's going to happen? But I think... that initial shock from what was said, you'd expect. But then this month is interesting. As off air I said, we had 2 fall over that were job changes in the time they were getting finance approval. Both of them sold for more than what they initially sold for, which is disappointing for that buyer because they changed their mind. But it just happened so rapidly.
Well, we run a buyer's agency, as you guys probably know, so we don't sell. And we're in the same boat. We've got the buyers and we're missing out. So we're trying to get the buyers to understand the market is not what's in the paper. It's not this doomsday market. They're still thinking there's bargains, and that's come and gone very quickly. It's back to a normal market.
And it's interesting, like when I speak to a buyer, and it's the first thing, as a buyer, you're looking for negative to bring price down. It's only natural you're going to grab the fruit that's low, and they're going to say, well, what about COVID? And I say to them, well, why are you putting in an offer? Oh, because I think it's going to pull 20% back. Well, why don't you wait September? Oh, but I don't want to do that. So if that's the only thing holding you back, and the data, which we all expected it would fall rapidly, there's been no panic selling. kudos to the government for some of the policies put in place. Panic selling and stock levels, supply and demand is what controls the industry. It's never been tighter since 2014.
Yeah.
And which is really weird because normally one's going, the rental market's going, the sales are going.
Counter-cyclical.
Both at the moment.
It's
Rental market's back to 2013, lowest since 2013, vacancy rate.
Would you agree that normally one's a bit more around than the other? But at the moment, it seems to be a bit of a stalemate.
Well, that's why I'm feeling optimistic because there hasn't been we've got low stock for sale, low stock for rent, and there hasn't been investors come in the market yet. If they come back, that's what I think will be the catalyst to push things forward a bit. Now, whether they'll come in the next 6 months, I don't know. But you come into a market. That's why I wasn't on the doomsday side of things because people are going, it's going to go this and that. But the reality was we had low stock. So unless the new stock came to market, which it hasn't still, there's no forced selling. Yeah. So what was going to be the catalyst?
Is going to happen in the next 6 months when JobKeeper finishes up? Is that when we're going to see some forced selling, or do you think we're going to get through it?
Well, it'll depend on the state of the economy, how bad unemployment gets. Now we all know I think it was about 5.5, 6 when we went into this. It's going to blow out to 10. Yeah. But if it blows out 8, 9s, maybe 10, I think a lot of those people have lost their jobs, have been in more casualised workforce. The hospitality workers, some businesses have cut down. Yeah. If we go out 12, 13%, then I think that's a challenge for the whole market. But I think it's sort of 8, 9, 10%. I don't think we'll see any significant hit. Now, JobKeeper's an issue. I think they're going to likely, for some industries, keep it going. In fact, the Real Estate Institute of Australia, through our members, we did a survey and a lot of our members want to keep JobKeeper going, no doubt, because we're all getting money to keep staff on. And stamp duty was the other big thing that they could do for our industry. Yeah. So it'll depend on how the government handles the end of JobKeeper and whether the industries that are really still suffering, whether they continue on like in a cascading down, maybe a phase out rather than the dead stop.
Damien, as an industry, something that, and I've had a number of conversations around this with people of late, is that we are the catalyst for so many services to be engaged. You know, when a piece of real estate is bought or sold, there's an arm's length of industry really that comes into play. Crib creatives, you know, removalists, gardeners,
mortgage brokers,
all sorts of people. You know, so it's a very important fulcrum of the economy, I believe, that the government need to make sure it's healthy because of all these knock-on effects. Now, one of the great blockages of that, and you just mentioned it, is stamp duty. Now, we all know stamp duty was supposed to go when GST came in, and that obviously never happened. If there's ever a time for those sort of tax reforms that are going to come into place, you would think now is but the moment. Now, the reality is their stamp duty revenue is way back anyway. So if you're going to do it, now is the time. You know, now, you may or may not be able to sort of get too deep into this conversation, but what do you think the likelihood, and do you have any sentiment of the conversations the government are having around that?
Yeah, and it's. I think we've got the best chance in a generation to maybe get some movement on it. Victoria and New South Wales, one's a Labor state, one's a Liberal, so it's not one side of politics versus the other. They both said they want to get rid of it. They are looking at alternatives. One of the alternatives put up in New South Wales, which is politically palatable, is that you have a choice. So you pay either a stamp duty, like the normal rate, or you can just elect to pay, they don't want to call it a land tax, but they'll call it a stamp duty ongoing tax, and you pay, instead of $17,000, you might pay $750 a year in perpetuity. So at least that way it's a choice, you can't go backwards. Look, some of the other ones, it's got to be bipartisan because if you put a broad-based land tax, you can scare people if both sides. So the federal government wants, every politician, state, federal, Liberal, Labor, say it's a dumb tax, it's inefficient. They want to get rid of it, but that's a revenue source. Now, as Ross said, it's only about $1.2 billion in WA, about $725 is from residential. You'd only need to have a $700 tax per property, per annum, on an average property. Some would be higher and lower to recover that. So the great opportunity to do it, or even if you go to that model where it's a choice, you'll have a short-term hit to revenue, but eventually as transactions happen, it'll build up. And as Ross was saying, you know, our modelling shows it's about 25 to 35,000, apart from the agents' fees, of additional economic activity from the removalists, the mortgage broker, the repairs, renovations, you know, new furniture. It's such an increasing those transactions. Great, it's going to help our industry, but it's also going to help the economy as well. And it's just really, it's just so inefficient. It makes people stuck and they can't move. And as you said, you know, at the moment, people would like to move. My mother-in-law said, I'd like to scale down from my house in the hills to something smaller, but I don't want to pay stamp duty. You know, that's, she's retired, and it's a lot of money. So I think we've got the best chance. There's a movement for it. I think in a crisis, people go, trying to cut away the politics. So Liberal Party, or Dean Nelder from the Liberal Party wrote a column in it. He thinks they want to get rid of it. It's not party policy yet, but we're working with both sides to get some action, and I'm probably the best chance in a generation the next year or two.
Beautiful.
Whilst you're there, mate, can you talk about get rid of payroll tax, get rid of CGT, mate, just keep going.
Well, let's just get rid of taxes altogether.
One thing that I haven't spoken to you about this, but I'm sure you will hear from people very soon. The announcement yesterday, obviously, regarding the first homeowners. So a lot of the properties I sell, median house price around 420, 450. I think they've missed the boat big time again.
Yep.
I know it's a federal, a national thing, but we already have an undersupply or an oversupply of new product in many of these areas.
Yep.
So where I get frustrated is, whilst I know there's developers and they have their place, the government's broke. So we're further spread out. I think they should have had at least a 7 or a 10,000 grant established, because what I'm seeing is people get caught up in the glitz and glamour of that big grant. By the time they're finished in some of these suburbs, and we know the suburbs, you're actually in negative equity from the moment you get the keys, because it's a false economy.
You're exactly right, Shane. So I did a bit of press last night and today saying we were critical of the package. I said basically the home builder package needs its own renovation, because you're exactly right. So what it's going to do, the way it's framed, is actually you'll get no infill. It's a contract to start date of 3 months. It's no chance you can get off the plan sales and get organised in 3 months. So it's targeted to house and land packages in the outskirts. Right in the areas that people have already smashed. In Baldivis, your Allen Brooks, your Alkimos, they're all in negative equity.
Byford.
And what's going to happen now, the first-time buyer or even a buyer goes, oh, good, I'm going to get a property there. I'm going to get 10,000 if I'm a first-time buyer, 25 more, plus the state government's going to kick in some more. So it's going to be probably 45, 50. And so for me to buy a used one, I'm not going to get anything. Gee, that needs to drop another 30 grand. So it's kicking the guts to those people. There should have been something for established. So we're asking for stamp duty relief on established, even as for a short time. We want to get rid of it long term, but even just to get the market going and allow those people who do need to sell in this COVID period the opportunity to get out. And I get it, the building industry is very good at jobs, and that's a hard one for us in the established market to talk about.
But then again, that established, the flow-on still happens, the furniture sales and all these things. But you're just getting further and further out from the city. And their whole policy when they freed up their zoning was to have infill.
Well, that's exactly, and that was one of our major criticisms of it. Is it was a targeted, but the planning policy in the state government's nearly 50% infill. The policy of the city deal that is about urban regeneration, not sprawling, and this has done the exact opposite. So it's disappointing. You know, I get they need to do some stimulus, but the way they framed it is pretty disappointing.
One thing I've noticed that has been a real positive, obviously, for a while we were seeing people earn enough money to service a loan, but not a big enough deposit to go big four, earning too much for Keystart. But I think last year I had only about 90 deals, 5 Keystart loans. In the last 60 days, I think I've done 10. And that's because they've lifted that threshold. But have they looked to market it more? Because it's still, the amount of buyers we're meeting that aren't aware of it. Do you think that could be played out better? Or?
Well, yeah, I think potentially if I wasn't aware Keystart made changes, but there's a lot of noise been out there lately. I think obviously, Keystart going to have a chat to Paul, the CEO, and they need to get that message out there because
a lot of people don't know.
No, and I think
perception is it's only for first home buyers too.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. That's right.
And a lot of people aren't aware of that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, gents. Very good conversation. We are going to have to hold it there, though. We're going to have to move on to our next segment very quickly.
I heard a siren.
I know that was a great combo, but
was that a school siren?
That was a school siren. That was the wind up. No, that was a school siren. Right. Roscoe, you're up next. You've got your 5 questions.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Damien, this is the part where we get to know you a little bit better.
Oh, okay.
This is the real oil, mate. This is.
No, it's changed. Is that big one in there?
I've put them all in there, guys. I haven't changed your questions.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Sorry, mate. He was pointing at the seat, not something else.
Damien's a busy man.
Should I be worried now? Can I leave?
Okay, so Damien,
ready.
You've got
the
3
ring
minutes,
stuff,
Ross.
that's all good, but this is the real oil, mate.
This
is what the viewers want to hear.
Okay,
so this is about get to know Damien. So number 1 is, mate, we all say, we're better for the experience. The experience is what we get when we don't get what we want.
Yep.
Okay, so given that in mind, you're an entrepreneur, successful businessman, you're the president of the our world.
Wartime.
Wartime. You are the Churchill of REIWA. What? I'm liking
I'll
this.
probably die of a heart attack like he did straight after.
Yeah, you're right. So, mate, what would you think is your biggest stuff up in business?
In business, oh, that's good because you take it away from relationships, so I won't go down that path. Look, I think when I look back over the last 5 years, being too optimistic for too long and making some business decisions, took more office space in 2017 when I thought the market was going to recover. So you've got to be an entrepreneur, you've got to be an optimist. Running a business in real estate, you've got to be optimistic, but I was probably optimistic for too long without making some hard decisions.
I think we all thought we were coming better for a while now.
Yeah, I know.
So they're not the only one there.
Yeah. It was like when COVID hit, everybody, I saw these social media posts, be wary of the optimist.
Yeah.
Okay, so mate, number 2. This will be interesting. What are the 3 things you wouldn't leave home without?
My phone, my wallet and my laptop.
Okay.
They are things that I check every day. And I wouldn't function without them.
Earpods?
I use AirPods.
He was using them before.
Yep, they're awesome. I got sick of the cord. The corded ones, I got so sick of them and being tangled up.
Now you've got people with cord, like, the sunglasses holders.
Oh, yeah. Like
Back with AirPods,
like
we've gone full circle.
Yeah.
Okay, so mate, what would you think is your worst habit?
Oh, it'll definitely be losing stuff, and I can tell you what I have to do. But speaking of those things, I have to have a tile because my wife, my EA, are sick to death of me losing things. So I have a tile which is on my phone, is on my laptop bag and my wallet. And if I push that button, my phone is on silent. I won't do it to you now. But I push that button, it'll find my phone.
Oh, I thought you were going to say your wife or your EA could do it, and I thought you'd never get a woman with that.
I need that. I need that for my wife.
You'd never get one.
No, I'm shocking. I put stuff down and lose it and everyone's annoyed. So they bought me this tile so I don't lose stuff. And in the last 3 days, I've lost my wallet 2 times and my phone twice. So pushing that button's been amazing.
I could put one of those on my home open signs.
Yes, yeah. Home open signs, we put them on there.
See where they've gone. I get it.
He said it. Okay. Okay, mate, so when you're not at work, where will we find you? What's your chill out zone? What's the outside of work Damian represent?
It's either wine, which I don't mind a nice wine, or I'm on the bike. So I'm one of those mammals that gets abused as I come here through Dalkeith on Warwick Avenue. Get on the footpath.
Yeah.
I'm one of those, but I do go in single file. I promise.
So have we got the shaved legs, mate?
No, I'm not. I don't need to save that extra microsecond.
Remember President on and we're bloody checking his legs.
We've got to check out the legs.
No, it's shaving your legs unless you're at that level. It's silly.
I know, mate. And like I'm a cyclist myself, and just sometimes I feel like stopping people.
Are you a cyclist, Ross?
Yeah. I say, mate, they're well and truly hairy.
It's been a long winter.
It's been a long winter. They shouldn't wear lycra, some people.
No, it's a bit of it's not a good look, is it?
Most people. Okay. Mate, what would you say is the most... what's a saying that people use that irritates you? You know, every now and then there's a saying that's like everyone would say at the end of the day or whatever. What's a saying that you think, just don't say that?
Oh, gee, a saying that the end of the day is a good one.
Yeah.
I have a saying that people get annoyed at me at saying, so I can tell you that one. I say when they bring me, I have full confidence in your decision.
Okay.
That's not helping me. I say I have full confidence in your decision. That means go away and figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
And I get in trouble for that. They go, I need your help, and I go, no, you don't. You can figure it out yourself. So
I like that.
I have full confidence in your decision, which means go away and leave me alone and figure it out.
Which pisses everybody else
Until
off.
it's wrong and they say, who made this?
Yeah. Who did that? Okay, mate. Now, the most important question. This is... Shane and I consider this the piece de resistance of questions. This is the one you've got to nail.
That's right, okay.
The best place to eat in Perth. What's your number one go-to?
Well, my favourite is, I live out this side of town, is Samson's Paddock in Mosman Park. Nice one on Glyde Street.
Glyde Street, yeah.
Very nice little restaurant.
Yeah.
Very hard to get into. But I highly recommend it to viewers. Now that things are going to be open again, got really good quality food, good wine list, so that's my favourite.
Samson's Paddock, Damian's tab, just say, mate of Damian's, he said, put on the tab.
What's the dish?
Don't knock yourself out.
Oh, they do a really good prawns. They mix it up a bit, really good prawns. I love, and I'm a big seafood fan.
Okay, very
If you
good.
can't get a booking for the next 6 months, you've done this to yourself.
I've done it to myself. Yeah, well, I think every restaurant's going to be... Although my wife somehow got a booking for tomorrow night. Not at Samson's Paddock, unfortunately, but Blue Duck.
Blue Duck.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's not... Well, it's okay.
I reckon there'll be 100% restaurants tomorrow night.
Just good to get out of the house.
Oh, yeah.
It is good.
Cabin figure. Let's go. Thanks, mate.
Pleasure. Good to see you, Ross.
Yes.
Good to see you,
Thanks,
Shane.
over to you.
That was
Thanks, Jess.
excellent. Well done. Guys, that's our show for today.
We're done.
It was pretty meaty, so thank you. Thank you so much for a
Pleasure,
great
Jess.
discussion. I want to thank the guys at Zorzi once again for hosting us in these incredible premises. If you do want to check it out, it's open on a Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday public holidays from 1 till 4. Of course, thank you to Damian so much for your time and your knowledge today. That's it. We're back.
Hang
We're
on.
back.
I've got play of the day.
Oh, you do have one. I
Okay.
skipped play
This
of the day.
is a good
Sorry.
story, all right? If you
Okay.
follow me on Instagram, you saw.
Better be good.
Got off the phone to a house and land package person, been dealing with for 2 weeks ago. Shane, you're about to get a call from someone who's ready to write the offer. 2 minutes later, get a call about a block. G'day, mate. Yeah, just calling about that block. I said, yeah, when you want to catch up? Yep, happy to write the offer. All right, got the address. Make the time. Hour and a half later. G'day, Shane. Yep, yeah, mate, I'm just calling about that block. You've been dealing with guy's name, who's the building rep. I'm just ready to write the offer. I said, didn't you ring earlier? He goes, no, I'm just ringing now. I just answered the phone from an inquiry.
Ready to write the offer.
So I've got 2 offers on the property.
Oh, what a genius.
Even when he makes mistakes, he gets saved.
What a legend. Didn't qualify him or anything. I'm there.
Good, mate.
So yeah, it's quite awkward when I had to say, oh, geez, I didn't actually know who that first person was. But yeah, he wrote the offer, mate. Yeah, it's a bit of confidence in that one. So.
His own play of the day. Back to you, Jess.
I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go from here. We'll be back in a fortnight. We're going to be in a different location, so keep your eye out. If you've got any comments or suggestions about topics you want to hear from us or anything at all, please comment on the Facebook page or the YouTube or hit any of the guys up on Instagram. Shane is always after messages. He loves it.
He loves it.
I've got messages, but they're not really friendly. They're more statements.
That's it.
Get off my
We're done.
feed.
Thanks.
See ya.
Cool.
Bye.